There are many fallacies hidden among common beliefs about learning. In this video, I will discuss two things that most students feel are helpful, but really aren't. In doing so, I will answer a very common question I get from students. What should they be doing 24 hours before a test? Stay tuned to find out how to learn more by avoiding these learning fallacies. Our first learning fallacy is that students believe cramming improves their grades on tests. There are many reasons why students wait until the last couple of days to start studying for a test. The most common one is that, for one reason or another, they didn't have time to start studying earlier. However, the actual main reason is that they believe that cramming works. If they didn't think it worked, they would do more to prevent it. In my undergraduate studies, it only took me one test to discover how bad cramming is and to start using strategies so that I would not have to cram. Rather than you having to find out the hard way, here are 3 reasons why cramming doesn't work. Number 1. The amount that cramming can help for an upcoming test is much smaller than most students realize. The brain can only process so much information at once. Therefore, little of what is crammed will actually be retained. Moreover, cramming involves surface learning, so it will be of little use for deeper questions which occur more and more frequently as one advances in their studies. Reason 2. What do you do if you have 2 tests on the same day? Students whose main learning strategy is cramming find themselves in a lot of trouble when their assessments are not well separated. Unfortunately, at university, they frequently aren't. Reason number 3. One of the biggest complaints I hear from my colleagues is that students forget everything immediately after a test. For students, I think they are more worried about forgetting everything just before the test. In either case, this is bad. If you cram for a test and then forget most of it, you will find it much more difficult to learn further material and end up with much worse grades on future tests. The worst part of forgetting is that it means you have to spend even more time relearning it. This often leads to a vicious cycle of longer and longer cramming sessions. What should you do instead? Number 1, start studying on day 1 and never stop. That is, right from the beginning of every course, I recommend a 1-hour study session 4 to 6 days per week. By doing so, you will find it easier and faster to learn new material, and, more importantly, you won't need to cram for your tests. Number 2, make sure you don't forget things. Even a quick 15-minute review of previous topics, perhaps using flashcards or a brain dump, once a week will keep them fresh in your mind and save you many, many stressful hours trying to relearn what you forgot. By doing these, you will go into your tests knowing more, feeling more confident, and being better rested. You will end up with higher grades, and you will actually remember the content after the test. Our second learning fallacy is that students think that one long study session is as effective as multiple short ones. Just like cramming, it is totally understandable why someone would think this. In learning, you often hear about the 10,000 hour rule, that you just need to put in the time, or get a recommendation like you should study 2 to 3 hours per week for every hour of lecture. However, it is not just about the number of hours. You need to make sure you are using your time effectively. Here are the 2 main problems with long study sessions. First is mental fatigue. One simply cannot concentrate hard on something for that long. So even if a person could force themselves to study for a long time straight, their brain wouldn't be able to really process the information deeply enough for significant learning to occur. That is, it is really inefficient. Second, as I already mentioned, the brain can only learn so much at one time. In particular, we know that much of the process of transferring information to long-term memory happens when we sleep. So to build strong neural pathways, we need to learn incrementally over many days. For more information about that, see my videos on the neuroscience of memory and cognitive load theory. What should you do instead? My general recommendation is to study for an hour, take about a 15-minute break, and then spend 5 to 10 minutes reviewing what you learned in the study session. If you do really want to keep studying, then take another short break and switch to a different course. If you really feel you need to study for the same course more than 1 hour in a day, then separate the hours. For example, do 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the evening. This brings me to the important question of what should you be doing 24 hours before a test? Based on what I've already said, what do you think my answer will be? You should be doing the exact same thing you would do in any other 24-hour period. As I've already said, not only will you learn little from a long cramming session, but it will also likely increase your anxiety about the test. The two biggest mistakes I see students make before a test are, number one, not getting enough sleep. Being well rested will improve your test performance more than cramming will. You should always prioritize getting enough sleep over cramming. And number two, skipping classes to study. Again, the little benefit you might get from cramming is not worth you getting behind in your other classes. In this video, we have looked at two very common fallacies about learning. First, cramming improves grades on tests. And second, one long study session is as effective as multiple short ones. We have also seen recommendations for what you should do. Starting at the beginning of a course, have 4 to 6 one-hour study sessions per week per course. Remember that it is not just about the amount of time. Consistent and focused studying is the key to long-term success. Finally, make sure you are always getting enough sleep. Again, we know sleep is a vital component of learning. I hope that knowing about these fallacies and what to do instead helps you as much as it helped me. To learn more, see these other informative videos. Thanks for watching.